Hey tea heads, this is Don from Mayleaf. It's a scorching hot day here and I'm looking forward to diving into these 3 Qingxiang Tie Guan Yins that have arrived fresh from the mountains. Yes, our 2022 Tie Guan Yins are finally here. I know it's a day that a lot of tea lovers tick off on their calendar, and quite rightly so. Tie Guan Yin is one of the most ubiquitous oolong teas from China, much loved, a very classic gateway tea, one of those teas that really draws people into specialty tea, including myself. This was one of the teas that I first fell in love with, and it's been a while since I've done a Tie Guan Yin video, so I thought I would redress that balance and taste these and sit back and just taste through them with you and sort of talk to you a little bit about some of the struggles with sourcing Tie Guan Yin in general. So I have here in front of me Superior Iron Goddess. This is a Qingxiang Zheng Wei Guan Yin Tie Guan Yin. If you don't know what that means, don't worry, I'm going to be breaking it all down for you very, very shortly. This one is Golden Flower Tie Guan Yin, aka Huangdong Tie Guan Yin, and this is Sour Sap. For those of you who love the sour stuff, this is our Tuo Suen Tie Guan Yin. So let me quickly break down what all that meant. In general, there are 3 styles of Tie Guan Yin: Qingxiang, Nongxiang, and Chuentong. If you want to know more really deep details about Tie Guan Yin, then go check out a video after you've watched this. I'll put a link in the description below where we visited Fujian. So I'm just going to give you a sort of a sweeping overview of it, but if you want to really dive deeper, then go check out that video. That's the place for you. So Qingxiang means high bright aroma. You can normally spot it through the color of the leaves. If it looks green like this, like light oolong, then you know it's going to have a bright, rising, high aromatics with lots of sort of trebly notes, and that is Qingxiang. Nongxiang is deep aroma, and that usually means it's been roasted, usually over Longan wood charcoal, so a roasted tea, so it's going to be darker, it's going to be brown, and is obviously going to have more of a sort of caramel and nutty note. We have a tea called Baked Goods, which is that one. Then we have Chuentong, much less produced. That is the traditional style. Unfortunately, it's sort of gone out of favor a little bit. Everyone's sort of moving towards the Qingxiang, although we're trying to make sure that that doesn't happen. We stock a really delicious Chuentong traditional style Tie Guan Yin that is called Shifu's pudding. And with Chuentong style, the leaf is oxidized for longer, or it's increased in terms of the amount of oxidation. So it's a more oxidized Tie Guan Yin. So I've got here in front of me 3 Qingxiang Tie Guan Yins. The differences between them is, this is Superior Iron Goddess. This is a Zheng Wei Guan Yin Tie Guan Yin. That means it's made with the Guan Yin variety, the Guan Yin cultivar. And Zheng Wei means that it was fired relatively soon after picking. So the leaf is picked, it's withered outdoors a bit, it's withered indoors, and it's shaken a little bit just to bring about some interaction between the compounds in the leaf. So if you don't shake it, then the water sort of withdraws into the stem. You want to shake it to bring the water back into the stem and just, you know, encourage that interaction so that you get a lot of aromatic aromatics and flavor development. And so after the correct amount of time has passed, which is judged by the tea producer, they'll usually take the leaves and put them into these sort of large spinning hot air ovens. They look like giant sort of tumble dryers, but at a high temperature. And that fixes the leaf so that it can't change anymore. So it fixes it, it can't oxidize further, and the flavor development is fixed. I mean, it's always changing, but is going to be much more stable. And so if you only wait sort of 8 to 12 hours between picking and firing, or, you know, within a day, then it's called Zheng Wei Tie Guan Yin. So this is a Qingxiang, high bright aroma. Guan Yin, that's the variety, cultivar, it's the Guan Yin variety. Zheng Wei means it was fired relatively soon after picking. Tie Guan Yin. And most of the Tie Guan Yin on the market is going to be a Zheng Wei, because people really delight in the flavor profile of Zheng Wei, not to mention the fact that they can get the tea out quicker, right? Because they're firing it quicker. But people love the taste of it, including myself, and we're going to be tasting this tea. Then you have different stages. You've got then from Zheng Wei, you've got Xiaozheng, you've got Xiaoqing, you've got Xiaosuen. and then you've got tuosuen. All this denotes is different sort of stages of time where the leaf has been sort of sitting before firing. Tuosuen is this one here. That means it's been sitting for about 2 days, and the longer it stays without firing, you're going to get different flavor developments, and you're also going to have more water obviously staying within the leaf, and that tends to produce a greener tasting and more sour tasting tea, which is why we call it sour sap. And you can see that this is noticeably more green, and that's interesting, right? Because you think if you left it for longer it would go a bit more brown. It's not the case with tuosuen. They will usually shake it much less. They'll just leave it a little bit. With Zhengwei, they'll shake it a little bit more, so they're sort of being a bit more not aggressive, because it's very, very gentle they're shaking, but they're more active with the processing, and so you get a little bit more, slightly more oxidation look, just tiny bit. This one here is produced exactly the same way as the Zhengwei style, so it's fired in exactly the same time, but the difference here is this is a Huangdong variety. So while these are Guan Yin varieties, this is Huangdong variety, which is a different variety and therefore a different flavor profile. Right, let's dive into this. Still recovering from my cold. It's been one that's been sitting around for a while. It's really, really annoying. But thankfully, my taste and sense of smell is not unduly affected. Probably a little bit, but not too much. It's always one of the big fears as a tea sourcer, is that right smack in the, in the time when you're meant to be doing the bulk of your spring sourcing, sort of March, April, May, if you catch a really bad cold that hits your sense of smell, that can be a big problem. I'm always a bit cautious at that time of year. And now that's sort of passed, even though I've still got some tasting to do, lo and behold, I get a cold. Anyway, it's fine. Here we go. So Zhengwei Tie Guan Yin from the Guan Yin variety, and this is our superior iron goddess. And it is absolutely bursting with all of the flavor notes that you would expect from a Zhengwei. You've got lots of flowers, you've got lots of fruits, and you've got some cream. The joy of a really good Zhengwei, and this is the sort of quality marker that I would advise you to look out for, is a supreme balance between flowers, fruits, and cream. Honeysuckles, lilacs are the flowers. Apples, pears are the fruits, maybe even a bit of mangosteen in there as the fruits, and then the creams is like salted butter, a buttery nature, a little bit of coconut, a bit of yogurt, so the sourness combining with the cream makes sort of a yogurt note in there as well. Okay, let's now do the Huangdong, which we call golden flower Tie Guan Yin. And it's great if you can, and I'll see what I can do on the website, see if I could sort of create some sort of bundle, but it's great if you can do this direct comparison, because you really are going to really understand all the things that I've just talked about. Okay, so Huangdong. Oh, less of the brightness, more in the fruits and the cream, less of the flowers. Which is ironic since it's called golden flower Tie Guan Yin. I know, but that's just the name of the cultivar. I'm getting cherries. I'm getting shortbread biscuits, shortcake. I'm getting digestive biscuits and lots of strawberry jam. Strawberry jam, digestive biscuits. So you can see, if you imagine that sort of EQ balance, which I know I'm constantly going on about, but that's the way that I think about it. From the very bright, high, transient notes all the way to those deep, bassy notes. This one has that lovely balance. It's got some depth, it's got some fruity mid notes, it's got some a lot of very high, bright honeysuckle lilac notes. This one is more like you've squished the EQ, and it's more in the intense sort of strawberries and a little bit warmer, bassy notes of those digestive biscuits. And now soursop, a tea which Celine always remembers because, and she continuously brings it up actually, is the fact that like when I first tasted soursop, I loved it. Or when I first tasted a Torsuen Tie Guan Yin, I loved it. But Celine and her mother-in-law both like went, oh no, too sour, I don't like it. And they were saying, don't buy it, don't buy it, don't buy it. But I bought it and it became like a favorite amongst a lot of people in the community. And so every time like I'm doing a tasting with Celine and she says there's a disagreement, like I like it, she doesn't, or the other way around, she's always like, yeah, but remember soursop. In other words, but just follow your own, you know, follow your own instincts. So it's like a little code word for us, soursop. Okay, let's see how 2022 soursop is. Okay. It is definitely greener, but the greenness is more in like a green coconut, like young coconut. A bit of pineapple. So it's still got tropical, but there's a zinginess. That pineapple is a very zingy fruit. But I'm also getting like that salted butter, brown butter. So it's like I've taken like fresh pineapple and I've just sort of sauteed them in some sort of beurre noisette, or I've drizzled it with a bit of beurre noisette, cooked down butter. Very, very nice. Not as sour smelling or as green smelling as, you know, previous possibly iterations of soursop, but everything shifts when you wet those leaves. I'm going to do them all because whenever I'm doing a 3 tea tasting, the videos can get quite long, so I don't want to take up too much of your precious time. I'm going to whack up the temperature. Oh, actually, it's pretty good. It's 96 degrees, so that's fine. Okay, so here we go. Here is, as you can see, Superior Iron Goddess. Let's see what the smell of that wet leaf is. Yeah, extremely, extremely bright and rising. The most rising and bright of lot. And the price difference between these is quite considerable. This one being the most expensive. And I guess what you're paying for with this one is sort of a very full spectrum experience for Tie Guan Yin. Not necessarily better or worse, because sometimes you like to focus in on a certain sort of character. So it's not necessarily better, but that is what you're paying for. You're paying for that vigorous shaking, that really like getting those compounds to really sort of mix and create all of those flavor compounds quickly and then fixing it. So I'm getting green apples, mango, but like, you know, ripe mango, not like overripe mango, but certainly not green mango, which is what I'd expect more from the soursop. I am getting some sweet woody notes as well in there. Hard to put my finger on that one. What's a sweet woody note? Like it could be just like a sort of a pine sappiness to it. Lilacs, honeysuckle, apricots, apricot jam. If you have our Chuentong, our Shifu's pudding, so the traditional style, that tends to really amp up that apricot note and sort of set it in a very deep way. But this is definitely, you know, rich in apricots. So I'm still getting the flowers, I'm getting apricots and mangoes, and I'm still getting the cream, sour cream. So sourness and creaminess. Look at the color of the Huangdong here. You can see different, right? And you can also see how much more the rinse opened up the leaves. Huangdong variety, much more easy to penetrate with water. It opens up a lot quicker. Means that you're probably going to get a few less infusions out of it, possibly, but it is definitely a bit more of a, in terms of a cultivar, a little bit thinner, the leaf, and so the leaf can expand quicker. Oh, the smell is great. So if I take that apricot jam, now it's really like focused on that apricot jam. Yeah. Honey and seeded bread, like a wholemeal bread, but with lots of like sunflower seeds on the top. So honey seeded bread, apricot jam. Wow. Breakfast in on the nose. Okay. And now soursop. Totally, totally different. Tons and tons of yogurty, green coconut yogurt. Sour creaminess. Apples, green apples. Coconut yogurt is one of my favorite yogurts, or yogurt, if you of that persuasion. Like the little cubes of chopped up young coconut in yogurt. Childhood favorite of mine. Yeah, green coconut yogurt. You can see the leaf, similar to, because it is a Guan Yin variety as well, it's going to have the same sort of level of opening up, if that makes any sense. Magnolia Raspberry. So I'm getting lots of the brightness of the superior iron goddess, so flowers, but the flowers are maybe less rising. So magnolia, as I said, raspberries. There is a creaminess there. Yogurt. I'm also picking up cassava cake. I don't know if you've ever had that before. It's a delicious, sticky, chewy cake, I think, famous in the Philippines. So there is creaminess and sort of sweetness and dessert-like quality to it, but it is like you take a slab of that cassava cake and then you drizzle it with lots and lots of coconut yogurt, throw on some fresh raspberries, and eat that out next to a magnolia tree. There you go, that's the image for you. Okay, so let's now crank this temperature up and we're gonna brew all of them, but I'll brew them separately. We're going to be doing straight from Gaiwan to cup. We call this the Gong Fu Solo style. 95 degrees. You can brew right up at boiling. I think that you can just bring out a little bit too much of the woodiness if you do that, but you know, it's gone up to 97. It's really not going to make a huge difference. And we're going to brew for about 25 seconds. So, sourcing Tie Guan Yin is a little bit of a difficult one because there's lots of it on the market. So the market's flooded, which is, you know, in some ways a good thing, right? Because it means you've got lots to choose from. But the problem is that with lots to choose from, that's a lot of tasting. The second problem is it goes very quickly. The movement of Tie Guan Yin is very, very fast, especially for the good batches. You may, if you check out the video of us in Fujian, you'll see a big Tie Guan Yin market. We don't buy from those markets, but you can see how busy it is. It's crazy. Just look at the liquor. Vibrant, beautiful, lime green liquor. We'll let it cool down a bit. And so therefore the batches move very, very quickly. And oftentimes, if I demand getting sent batches, in other words, I want to taste it, by the time it's arrived, it's gone. So I'll taste it, I go, I love it, and I get on the phone to my scouts, and they go, no, that's gone. And that happens a lot during Tie Guan Yin sourcing. And it's very, very frustrating because I really like to taste everything before purchasing. I have developed a really close relationship with some scouts that I can trust their nose and their taste. And so if they say to me, we found a supreme batch, we love it, love it, love it, you know, and there's like, you know, only 10 or 20 kilos of the tea, and it's going to go in the next few days. Sometimes I will just say, okay, go ahead and do it. But I don't like to do that. And thankfully, I didn't have to do that for this one. This is one of the earliest spring picked teas for Tie Guan Yin I've ever encountered. I think it's sometime in the middle of March, 16th of March is from my recollection. Sorry, I don't have the details in front of me. But that's extremely early. Normally, Tie Guan Yins are picked in April or May. March is very, very early. All right, let's give this a taste. And the early picking and the high altitude, if you go check out the scope online, you'll see the altitude is pretty high from my recollection. It's like, I think it's over 1,000 meters. It gives this tea a very high mountain aroma. And that's a sort of terminology that's discussed a lot with high mountain oolong teas from Taiwan, like pear cloud. And it has that sort of Lishan pear cloud quality to it. And what I mean by that is it has a freshness to it. Not really snowy, but almost like a cold temperature freshness, like you're up breathing the really fresh, rarefied air of those high mountain peaks in Taiwan. It's spring-like, it's meadowy, it's blossoming, it's flourishing, but in a very fresh way, in a very refreshing way. Less of sort of like springtime abundance that might sort of make you think of very sweet floral aromatics. This is really fresh in the mouth. The texture is medium. So much freshness. This would rival, dare I say it, some of those really expensive high mountain Taiwanese oolongs at, even though it's a pricey tea compared with these ones, at a much lower price point than those teas. Honestly, if you threw this in front of me and said this is a high mountain Qinshin oolong, then I would actually believe you, I think. Although the apple candy note at the end would probably give it away that this is from the Guan Yin variety. Super bright, super fresh, super, super delicious. So I'm getting green apples. The flowers are there. They're not like sticking your nose in a bouquet. A lot of Tie Guan Yins are very flower dominant. They sort of like push the honeysuckles, you know, in your face. And I tend to, I like that, but if it doesn't have more other notes, then I'm not so interested. Those flowery notes by themselves don't really do it for me. This, it's all about that feel, the character, which is very difficult, ephemeral, hard to put into words. But yeah, light, bright, refreshing. Green apples, bit of coconut in terms of the creaminess. A bit of a sort of steamed sponge cake that you get in dim sum restaurants. A flavor note which I seem to be saying a lot recently. And the aftertaste is one of the joys of a good Tie Guan Yin, and something that you can really, that can really sort of be disappointing in a bad one. You want tang, you want that yin yun, you want sort of an apple candy sourness, but you don't want it to get into a direct, like, rough sourness. Oh, the smell. Yeah, like taffy pear candy. Oh, it's such a lovely smell. A little bit of herbaceous, slight herbaceous pepperiness as well in there. Okay. Clean, fresh, will leave your mouth. Or has a sort of yeah, like I feel like I'm on a sort of very fresh, snowy mountain peak. Flowers are there, as I said. Maybe a bit of frangipane, a bit of geranium, bright, zesty freshness. And the aftertaste is sweet. A little bit like of a creamy sweetness, but then here it is. Second infusion always gets the aftertaste out even more. Sweet, slightly sour mangosteen, tropical fruit sweetness in my mouth. So you've descended down from the mountain, you're eating a succulent mangosteen. Amazing, delicious. Super happy. And interesting with this very high mountain altitude and early spring picking, that's a new one for us. If you've tasted our Superior Iron Goddess before, be prepared for an even more high mountain, you know, Gaoshan Taiwanese oolong taste to it. But it's got a creaminess and that appley yin nature. Right, Huangdong, golden flower. Oh, I could have that taste in my mouth all day. Smell of the empty cup. Creamy, soft, chewy, creamy apricot or strawberry candies. Very, very, very lovely. Okay. Golden flower, you can see the liquor is less green, more yellow. You can see the color difference of these leaves as well. Hope you can pick it up. Right, here we go. Let's taste this. Mmm. Ooh. Wow. I think I said that it had a honeyed bread note before, right? Honey on seeded bread. I'm getting lots of that, but actually more like apricot jam on bread. Mmm. Some cream, not so much sour cream, just cream. Little bit sour cream. Apricot jam, sour cream, spread on, again, like a seeded bread. Mmm. Oh, it's been a while. Magnolia. Sweeter, less of the freshness compared with the Superior Iron Goddess. Sweeter, more like, as I said, this... For some reason, I'm sort of reminded of, like, I don't know, like family holidays where you're out in like nature and you know, you wake up and somebody cuts you a piece of like wholemeal bread with seeds on it and puts some butter on it, because it does have a buttery sort of, that sour cream buttery note, and like spreading on some apricot jam. Oh, the holidays continue, but now we're moving into coconut suntan lotion. Oh my God, that brings you back to days on the beach, my sister with coconut suntan lotion. Taking me aback, that tea. Really, really impressed with it. Golden flower, definitely worth to pick up, and leaves my mouth with an incredible, like icing sugar sweetness in my mouth. Different, that left my mouth feeling fresh and light with a sort of, what did I say? Mangosteen fruitiness. This one here, definitely a more creamy icing sugar sort of sweetness. Okay, here we go. Final tea, sour sap. Again, same temperature water, 96 now. So I'm gonna let that brew out. It's so hot here. The teas are making me sweat a little bit, but it's mostly the hot weather, but I'm not complaining. I am not complaining. Very happy to have hot weather here in London. So let's see what this 2022 sour sap is like. I did sample all of these teas, so I did, you know, go through sampling. I didn't buy blind as I've done before. That one has really surprised me though. The Huangdong has really sort of taken me aback. Brewed that one probably a bit longer. I want to try and sort of mix infusion 1 and 2 into one. Oh, punchy, zingy. Really, really lovely. Ooh, green mango. Green mango. I love under-ripened mango. Green or sort of just, you know, moving towards sweeter. I love that. Both in terms of that slightly drying quality in the mouth, but the taste, I just love sour mango. Anyway, color is sort of in between. I would say a bit more green than Huangdong, than the golden flower, but a little bit more yellow than the Tie Guan Yin. Sorry, Superior Iron Goddess. Oh, that coconut yogurt is coming through. That green mango is coming through. Oh, yeah. So much of that bright, fresh, slightly peppery, a little bit of cannabis pepperiness happening as well. Like that sensation when you're eating a watermelon, you just hit that rind, you know, and you're getting into that fresh green rind, and it just is, it's a really nice, bright, refreshing taste. But it's not like, you know, overly astringent, but it's definitely, you know, more in that raw green note. The aftertaste is pineapple, guava. The aftertaste is full-on guava, tropical, fruity. Sour is not the right word because it's not sour. It's sappy. It certainly is sappy, but it's not sour. I'm gonna brew one more of this. I downed that too quickly. Very, very different again, and I would encourage you to try to do a back-to-back, maybe get tasters, or as I said, I'll see what I can do about putting a bundle. I don't know how to do that. I have to see if that's possible. If I can do a bundle online and you could sort of maybe taste all three, because it is a really, really interesting way to just sort of get a feel for the different sort of lengths of time for the same cultivar and then a different cultivar. So I'm getting those yogurty notes. So it's not sour cream, it's now green apple yogurt and coconut yogurt, those young coconuts. It's actually really, really considered in terms of its finish. It doesn't hit you with a lot of sourness. It's more a bright, fruity freshness rather than high mountain freshness, if you know what I mean. Think about green mango, think about guava, those kinds of notes. Delicious, delicious, delicious. There you go. You can look at all three of them here, and you can see same cultivar, different cultivar. You can see how it's brewed out differently. Zhengwei Tie Guan Yin, Tuosuen Tie Guan Yin, Huangdong Tie Guan Yin. Let me know your thoughts if you pick them up. See if you can do the full flight so that you can really get to know them. As I said, I have not done a video about Tie Guan Yin for a while, you know, so when you are on your tea journey, teas sort of take your attention, like you get obsessed with certain teas over a certain period of time. But it's always good to revisit the classics and remind yourself of that taste that, you know, for many people first made them fall in love with tea. That's it, tea heads. Check out our other videos, taste our teas wherever you are in the world by browsing mayleaf.com, and come visit us if you're ever in London. Other than that, I'm Don from Mayleaf. Thank you for being part of the revelation of true tea. Stay away from those tea bags, keep drinking the good stuff, and spread the word, because nobody deserves bad tea. Bye.